The morning sun cast long shadows across the gardens of Windsor Castle, as Prince William stood by the large window in his private study. His hands trembled slightly as he held the sealed envelope that had arrived just an hour earlier. The royal crest on the letterhead seemed to mock him as he read the contents for the third time, hoping somehow the words would change. Kate entered the room quietly, carrying a tray of tea. She had noticed her husband's unusual silence during breakfast, and the way he had excused himself immediately after reading his correspondence. 23 years of marriage had taught her to read his moods, and today something felt different. Something felt final. "The children are asking about the weekend trip to Balmoral," she said softly, setting the tray on his desk. "Should I tell them we're still planning to go?" William turned from the window, and Kate saw something in his eyes that made her breath catch. It wasn't the usual stress of royal duties or the weight of his responsibilities. This was deeper, more personal, and it frightened her in a way she couldn't explain. "We need to talk," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. The envelope crinkled in his grip as he struggled to find the right words. "How do you tell the person you love most in the world that everything is about to change forever?" Kate moved closer, her intuition telling her to prepare for the worst. She had been through many difficult conversations with William over the years, from family scandals to public criticism, but nothing had prepared her for the look of absolute devastation on his face. "What is it, William?" "You're scaring me." He gestured for her to sit in the chair across from his desk, but she remained standing, crossing her arms protectively across her chest. The distance between them felt like an ocean, even though they were only a few feet apart. "The doctors have been running additional tests," he began, his words coming out in careful, measured sentences. "The headaches I've been having, the dizzy spells, the memory lapses we thought were just stress." Kate's world began to shift beneath her feet. She had noticed these things too, had even suggested he see a specialist months ago, but William had brushed off her concerns, insisting that the pressures of his royal duties were simply taking their toll. Now, looking at the official medical letterhead in his hands, she realized how naive they had both been. "The results came back this morning," William continued, unable to meet her eyes. "It's a brain tumor. Aggressive. The location makes surgery extremely risky, and even if they could operate..." The words hung in the air between them like a death sentence. Kate felt her legs give way, and she sank into the chair she had refused moments earlier. Her mind raced through 1,000 questions, but none of them seemed important enough to voice. Instead, she found herself studying her husband's face, memorizing every line and expression as if seeing him clearly for the first time. "How long?" she whispered. 6 months, maybe less. "The specialists want to try an experimental treatment, but they're not optimistic about the outcome." The silence that followed was deafening. Outside, the groundskeepers continued their work. Tourists gathered at the gates hoping for a glimpse of royalty, and life carried on as if the world hadn't just stopped spinning. But inside this room, time seemed suspended, holding two people who had dedicated their lives to serving their country and raising their children, now facing the most private battle of their lives. Kate stood slowly, her movements deliberate and controlled. She walked around the desk and took the letter from William's hands, reading it herself as if her interpretation might somehow be different. The medical terminology was complex, but the prognosis was clear. Her husband, the future King of England, the father of her children, her partner in everything that mattered, was dying. "We'll fight this," she said finally, her voice stronger than she felt. "We'll get second opinions, third opinions. We'll find the best doctors in the world." William pulled her into his arms, and she could feel him shaking. "Kate, the doctors I've seen are already the best in the world. The tumor is in a location that makes any intervention nearly impossible. We have to face the reality of this situation." She pulled back to look at him, seeing the man she had fallen in love with all those years ago at university, before titles and duties and the weight of the crown had changed their lives forever. "Then we make every moment count. We don't waste a single day feeling sorry for ourselves or dwelling on what we can't change." The sound of children's laughter drifted through the window from the garden below. Their youngest was playing with the family dog, while their older children were presumably finishing their morning studies. The normal, beautiful chaos of family life continued, unaware that everything had just changed. "How do we tell them?" William asked, voicing the question that had been tearing at both their hearts. Kate wiped away tears she hadn't realized were falling. "Carefully, honestly, when the time is right, but not today." Today we process this ourselves. Today we figure out how to live with this knowledge without letting it destroy the time we have left. William nodded, understanding the wisdom in her approach. They had always been partners in every major decision, from how to handle media scrutiny to how to raise their children within the constraints of royal life. This would be no different, except the stakes had never been higher. "I want to see the sunrise every morning," he said suddenly. "I want to have breakfast with the children every day. I want to walk in the garden with you every evening. I want to make sure that when this is over, you and the children have memories that will sustain you for the rest of your lives." Kate took his hands in hers, feeling the familiar comfort of his touch while simultaneously mourning its inevitable absence. "We will. And we'll make sure the children know how much their father loves them, how proud he is of them, and how his greatest joy in life was being their dad." The weight of unspoken goodbyes already hung heavy in the room, but neither of them was ready to voice them yet. Instead, they held each other in the morning sunlight, two people who had spent their entire adult lives in the public eye, now facing the most private battle imaginable. The world would eventually learn of William's diagnosis, but for now this moment belonged only to them. 3 weeks had passed since the devastating diagnosis, and the royal family had fallen into a careful routine of maintaining normalcy while privately grappling with their new reality. Kate had become a master at hiding her tears, saving them for the moments when she was alone in the bathroom or walking in the farthest corners of the estate, where no one could see her breakdown. The children sensed something had changed, though they couldn't pinpoint exactly what. Their father spent more time with them than usual, abandoning his usual strict schedule to join them for spontaneous adventures around the castle grounds. Their mother smiled just a little too brightly and hugged them a little too long during their bedtime routines. William had thrown himself into creating memories with a desperation that both inspired and broke Kate's heart. Yesterday, he had canceled 3 important meetings to teach their youngest how to ride a bicycle. The day before, he had spent hours helping their middle child with a school project about British history, sharing stories about their ancestors that weren't found in any textbook. "Daddy seems different lately," their eldest had mentioned to Kate during one of their morning walks. The observation was innocent enough, but it struck Kate like a physical blow. Children, she had learned, were remarkably perceptive about things adults tried to hide. "He's been working very hard lately," Kate had replied, the lie tasting bitter on her tongue. "But he's making sure to spend more time with all of us because family is the most important thing." The half-truth felt like a betrayal. But she and William had agreed to wait until they had explored every possible treatment option before telling the children. They needed to present them with facts, not just fears and uncertainty. Meanwhile, the experimental treatment had begun. 3 times a week, William made discreet trips to a private medical facility in London, where he underwent procedures that left him exhausted and nauseated. Kate accompanied him to every appointment, sitting in sterile waiting rooms while doctors tried methods that carried their own risks and offered little hope for success. "The tumor hasn't grown in the past 2 weeks," Dr. Harrison had reported during their latest consultation. "But it also hasn't shrunk. We're essentially buying time at this point." Time. Such a simple word, yet it had become the most precious commodity in their lives. Every sunrise was a gift. Every conversation was treasured. Every laugh from their children was stored away like a priceless jewel. The hardest part was maintaining their public duties. William still attended state functions and official ceremonies, though his staff had quietly reduced his schedule. Kate continued her charitable work, though she found it increasingly difficult to focus on speeches about future initiatives when her own future had become so uncertain. During a recent visit to a children's hospital, Kate had watched William interact with young patients who were fighting their own battles against cancer. The irony wasn't lost on either of them. Here was their future king, secretly fighting the same type of disease as these brave children, offering them hope and encouragement while privately wondering if his own fight was already lost. "Your Highness seems to understand exactly what we're going through," one mother had said to Kate while they watched William play chess with her 7-year-old son. "He has such a genuine way with children who are facing serious illnesses." Kate had nodded and smiled, but inside she wanted to scream. If only this woman knew the truth. If only she could share the real reason why William connected so deeply with these families. But royal protocol demanded silence, even when silence felt like suffocation. That evening, after the children were asleep, Kate found William in his study again. This had become his refuge, the place where he allowed himself to show the fear and sadness he hid from everyone else during the day. Tonight he was writing in a leather-bound journal. "What are you writing?" she asked, settling into the chair beside his desk. "Letters," he replied without looking up. "For the children. For their birthdays, graduations, weddings. For moments I won't be there to share with them." Kate's heart clenched as she watched his careful handwriting fill page after page. "William, you don't know that you won't be there." The treatment could still work. There could be new developments in medicine. "We can't give up hope." He set down his pen and looked at her with eyes that held both love and resignation. "Kate, I need to prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. These letters, this journal, it's not giving up. It's making sure that our children know their father's thoughts and feelings about everything important that might happen in their lives." She understood his logic, but watching him write his own farewell messages felt like attending his funeral while he was still alive. "What are you telling them?" "I'm telling them about the day each of them was born, what it felt like to hold them for the first time. I'm sharing advice about friendship, love, disappointment, and dreams. I'm making sure they know that being royal doesn't make them better than anyone else, but it does give them a platform to make the world better for others." Kate wiped away tears that seemed to come more frequently these days. "They're going to treasure those letters. I hope so. I also hope they'll never need them." William closed the journal and turned to face her fully. "How are you holding up? Really holding up? Not the brave face you show everyone else." The question broke through the emotional barriers she had been carefully maintaining. "I'm terrified," she admitted. "Not just of losing you, though that thought makes it hard to breathe. I'm terrified of raising our children alone, of making all the important decisions by myself, of having to be both mother and father to them." William moved from his chair to kneel beside her, taking her hands in his. "You're the strongest person I know, Kate. You've been my anchor through every storm we've faced together. Our children are lucky to have you as their mother, and if something happens to me, you'll guide them with the same love and wisdom you've shown them every day of their lives. But I don't want to do it alone," she whispered. "I want to grow old with you. I want to watch our children have children of their own. I want to complain about your snoring for the next 40 years. William smiled through his own tears. "I want all of those things too, but if we can't have them, then we make the most of what we do have. We love each other completely, without reservation or regret. We make sure our children feel secure and cherished. We don't waste precious time being angry at circumstances we can't control." Kate leaned into his embrace, drawing strength from his steady heartbeat and familiar warmth. Outside, the castle was settling into its nightly quiet, but inside this room, two people who had committed their lives to serving others were learning how to say goodbye to each other without saying the words out loud. The decision to tell the children came suddenly, precipitated by an incident that neither William nor Kate could have anticipated. Their youngest had found William collapsed in the garden during one of his increasingly frequent dizzy spells, and the terror in the child's eyes had shattered any remaining illusions about keeping the diagnosis secret within their own family. Kate had found them there together, William sitting on a bench with their youngest cradled in his arms, both of them shaken by the episode. The questions came immediately, as they knew they would. Children deserved honest answers, especially when those answers affected their entire world. That evening after dinner, William and Kate gathered all three children in the family sitting room. This wasn't the formal parlor used for official meetings, but the cozy space filled with family photos and comfortable furniture, where they had shared countless bedtime stories and lazy Sunday mornings. "We need to talk to you about something very important," Kate began, her voice steady despite the turmoil in her heart. "You've all noticed that Daddy has been feeling unwell lately, and we want you to understand what's happening." Their oldest immediately straightened, the protective instincts of an eldest child already sensing the gravity of the conversation. Their middle child moved closer to William, while their youngest simply looked back and forth between their parents with wide, trusting eyes. William took a deep breath before speaking. "I have something called a brain tumor. It's like an illness that affects how my body works, which is why I've been having headaches and feeling dizzy sometimes." The silence that followed was deafening. Kate watched their children process this information, seeing confusion, fear, and a dozen unspoken questions cross their faces. Their oldest was the first to speak. "Is it cancer, Daddy? Like what happened to Sarah's mom?" The directness of the question caught William off guard, but he had promised himself complete honesty with his children. Yes, it is a type of cancer, but every person's situation is different and the doctors are working very hard to help me get better. Their middle child's voice was small and uncertain. Are you going to die? Kate felt her heart break all over again, but William answered with the same gentle honesty they had agreed upon. The doctors are doing everything they can to make sure that doesn't happen. But we wanted you to know what was going on so you wouldn't be confused or worried about things you didn't understand. What happened next surprised both parents. Instead of tears or panic, their children simply moved closer, creating a family huddle on the sofa. Their youngest climbed into William's lap. Their middle child leaned against his side, and their oldest took Kate's hand while keeping one arm around their father. We'll take care of you, Daddy, their youngest said with the absolute confidence that only a child possesses. We'll make you soup when you're sick and read you stories to make you feel better. The simple, innocent offer of comfort broke the dam of emotion that William had been carefully controlling. Tears streamed down his face as he held his children close, overwhelmed by their immediate acceptance and unconditional love. You don't need to take care of me, he managed to say. Your job is to keep being wonderful children and to help Mummy with whatever she needs. Their oldest looked directly at Kate. What do you need us to do, Mummy? Kate was amazed by the maturity in her child's voice. The way crisis seemed to bring out a strength she hadn't known existed. I need you to continue being yourselves. Keep doing well in school. Keep playing and laughing and being children. Most importantly, I need you to talk to Daddy and me about how you're feeling. If you're scared or confused or angry, we want to know about it. The conversation continued for another hour, with questions ranging from practical concerns about daily routines to deeper worries about the future. William and Kate answered everything as honestly as age-appropriate explanations would allow, while making it clear that their love for their children remained the strongest and most constant thing in their lives. Later that night, after countless hugs and extra bedtime stories, William and Kate finally collapsed into their own bed. Emotionally drained but somehow lighter, the weight of secrecy had been lifted, replaced by the shared burden of facing an uncertain future together as a family. They're stronger than we gave them credit for, Kate observed, curling up beside her husband. They get that from their mother, William replied, pulling her close. Did you see how quickly they shifted into protective mode? They're going to be okay, Kate. Whatever happens to me, they're going to be okay because they have you. Over the following days, life in the royal household adjusted to this new normal. The children asked fewer questions but offered more help, from bringing William tea without being asked to quietly playing games that didn't require him to move around when he wasn't feeling well. Their teachers were discreetly informed, ensuring that any changes in behavior or academic performance would be handled with understanding and care. The experimental treatment continued, though the side effects were becoming more pronounced. William's energy levels fluctuated wildly, and there were days when he couldn't hide his discomfort from the children despite his best efforts. On those days, Kate stepped seamlessly into both parental roles, maintaining stability, while allowing the children to express their concern for their father. One particularly difficult afternoon, when William was bedridden with severe nausea from the treatment, Kate found their middle child sitting outside his bedroom door with a book, quietly reading aloud through the closed door so their father wouldn't feel alone. The sight of such pure, instinctive love brought tears to her eyes even as it filled her heart with pride. What are you reading to Daddy? She asked, sitting down beside her child in the hallway. His favorite adventure story from when he was little. He told me about it last week, so I got it from the library. I thought it might make him feel better. Kate wrapped her arms around her thoughtful child, marveling at the way love expressed itself in the simplest, most profound gestures. I think that's exactly what he needs right now. That evening, when William was feeling well enough to join the family for dinner, he thanked his middle child for the afternoon's entertainment. The shy smile that lit up their face was worth more than any royal decoration or public recognition he had ever received. As the weeks progressed, the boundaries between parent and child began to blur in the most beautiful way. The children naturally stepped into supporting roles, while William and Kate learned to accept help gracefully. It was an unconscious preparation for a future none of them wanted to acknowledge directly. But the strength of their family unit was growing even as William's physical strength began to fade. The call came on a Tuesday morning while Kate was reviewing the children's schedules for the week. Dr. Harrison's voice was gentle but direct, the tone of someone who had delivered difficult news many times before. The experimental treatment wasn't working. In fact, the tumor had grown significantly in the past month, and William's condition was deteriorating faster than anyone had anticipated. "We should discuss transitioning to comfort care," the doctor said carefully, making sure Prince William is as comfortable as possible and able to spend quality time with his family. Kate gripped the phone with hands that had suddenly gone cold. Comfort care, the euphemism for acknowledging that the fight was over, that they were now focused solely on making William's remaining time as peaceful and meaningful as possible. "How long?" she whispered, though she wasn't sure she wanted to hear the answer. "Weeks, possibly a month or two if we're fortunate." "I'm sorry, Your Royal Highness. I wish I had better news." After ending the call, Kate sat in her private office for nearly an hour, staring at the family photographs on her desk. Each image showed moments of pure happiness: family vacations, birthday celebrations, quiet evenings at home. Now each picture felt like evidence of a life that was ending too soon. William took the news with a calmness that surprised even Kate. She found him in the garden, tending to the roses he had planted when they first moved to their current residence. His movements were slower than usual, and she could see the effort each task required, but his face held a peaceful expression she hadn't seen in months. "The doctor called," she said simply, sitting beside him on the garden bench. He nodded without looking up from the flowers. "I know, I can feel it, Kate. The headaches are worse, the confusion is more frequent. My body is telling me what the doctors are confirming." They sat in silence for several minutes, watching bees move between the blooms and listening to the distant sound of their children's laughter from somewhere else on the estate. The normalcy of the moment felt both comforting and surreal. "What do you want to do with the time we have left?" Kate asked finally. William considered the question carefully before answering. "I want to finish the letters for the children. I want to record bedtime stories for them, so they'll always have my voice when they need it. I want to make sure you have everything you need to raise them and continue your work." He paused, reaching for her hand. "And I want to have one last Christmas together. A perfect Christmas where we focus entirely on being a family, with no royal obligations or public appearances. Just us." Kate felt tears threatening but pushed them back. There would be time for crying later, but right now William needed her to be strong and practical. "Christmas is still 2 months away. Do you think?" "I think if I focus all my energy on reaching that goal, if I pace myself and accept help when I need it, I can make it that far." "It's something to fight for. The decision to step back from most public duties was announced through carefully worded press releases that cited William's need to address ongoing health concerns without revealing the full extent of his condition. The royal family's communications team managed to maintain privacy while acknowledging that something significant was happening. Kate took over many of William's responsibilities, her schedule becoming a juggling act of royal duties, supporting her husband and maintaining stability for their children. The public began to notice her increased presence at events, often appearing alone at functions where William would normally have accompanied her. Meanwhile, within the privacy of their home, William threw himself into his final projects with an energy that seemed to defy his diagnosis. He spent hours in his study, writing letters and recording videos for future milestones in his children's lives. Kate often found him working late into the evening, determined to leave behind a comprehensive legacy of love and guidance. "I'm recording their wedding speeches," he told her one night when she brought him tea and urged him to rest. "I want them to know what I would have said if I had been there to give them away." The weight of these preparations was enormous, but Kate understood their importance. These recordings and letters weren't just gifts for their children. They were William's way of maintaining his role as their father, even after his physical presence was gone. Their oldest child, now clearly aware of the gravity of the situation despite their parents' attempts to maintain hope, began spending more time with William, asking questions about royal history, family traditions, and what would be expected of them in the future. These conversations were both heartbreaking and necessary, as William shared wisdom and perspective that would need to guide his child through a lifetime of public service. "Being royal isn't about being better than other people," William explained during one of their evening walks. "It's about having the privilege and responsibility to serve others. Every decision you make, every word you speak should be guided by one question: how can this help make the world a better place?" Their middle child dealt with the situation differently, becoming quieter and more observant, often found reading in corners or drawing pictures that usually featured their entire family together in various settings. When Kate gently asked about these drawings, the response was both simple and profound. "I'm drawing memories so I won't forget them." Their youngest, still not fully grasping the permanence of what was happening, continued to treat William's illness as something temporary that would eventually resolve. This innocent optimism was both heartbreaking and oddly comforting, providing moments of lightness in an increasingly heavy atmosphere. The family developed new rituals during this time. Every morning that William felt well enough, they had breakfast together in the kitchen rather than the formal dining room. Every evening, regardless of how he was feeling, they gathered for family time in the sitting room, playing games, reading stories, or simply talking about their days. Kate documented everything through photographs and videos, creating an archive of these precious final months that would serve as a testament to their family's love and strength. She captured William teaching their youngest to play chess, helping with homework, and sharing stories about his own childhood that the children had never heard before. As autumn progressed into early winter, the changes in William became more apparent. He tired more easily, required more frequent rests, and occasionally struggled to find words or remember details. But his love for his family remained constant and clear, expressed through gentle touches, encouraging smiles, and an unwavering focus on making every interaction meaningful. The approach of Christmas gave the entire family something positive to focus on, a goal that provided structure and hope during an increasingly difficult time. William's determination to reach this milestone seemed to give him strength, while Kate began planning what she privately knew would be their final Christmas together as a complete family. Christmas morning arrived with a gentle snowfall that transformed the castle grounds into a winter wonderland. Kate woke before dawn, as she had every morning for the past few months, listening for William's breathing beside her. The sound had become her daily reassurance that they had been granted another day together. William was already awake, propped up against his pillows and watching the snow fall outside their bedroom window. His face was thinner now, and the effort required for simple movements was apparent, but his eyes still held the warmth and love that had captivated Kate since their university days. "Merry Christmas," he whispered, reaching for her hand. "Merry Christmas," she replied, settling against his shoulder. "How are you feeling?" "Grateful," he said simply. "We made it, Kate. We made it to Christmas." The achievement felt monumental. 2 months ago, reaching this day had seemed like an impossible dream. Now surrounded by the peaceful quiet of Christmas morning, it felt like a miracle they had somehow managed to create through sheer determination and love. The children burst into their parents' room an hour later, still in their pajamas and buzzing with Christmas excitement. Their youngest jumped onto the bed with characteristic enthusiasm, while their older children were more careful, aware of their father's fragility but unable to completely contain their holiday joy. "Can we open presents now?" their youngest asked, bouncing slightly on the mattress. William smiled, the expression lighting up his entire face despite his physical weakness. "Let's have breakfast first. Then we'll spend the entire day with presents and games and stories." The family breakfast was a feast of favorite foods prepared by the castle's kitchen staff, who had been quietly supporting the family through this difficult time with extra care and attention to William's changing dietary needs. Kate had learned to read William's energy levels throughout the day, knowing when to encourage activity and when to suggest rest. The morning gift exchange took place in the family sitting room, with William settled in his favorite armchair surrounded by his children. Kate watched through her camera lens as she recorded every moment, knowing these images would become priceless treasures in the years ahead. William had somehow managed to complete his Christmas shopping despite his declining health. With Kate's discreet assistance in wrapping and organizing, each gift showed his deep understanding of his children's personalities and interests, from art supplies for their middle child's growing passion for drawing to adventure books for their youngest's active imagination. "This is from Daddy's special collection," William said as he handed their oldest a beautifully wrapped package. Inside was a vintage watch that had belonged to William's grandfather. "It's been in our family for 3 generations, and now it belongs to you." The moment was both touching and heartbreaking, as everyone in the room understood the significance of passing down family heirlooms ahead of schedule. Their oldest child handled the watch with reverence, understanding its importance beyond its monetary value. For Kate, William had written a letter that she read privately later in the day while he napped. His handwriting was shakier than usual, but every word was filled with love and gratitude for their life together. He thanked her for 23 years of partnership, for giving him 3 incredible children, and for supporting him through both the joys and challenges of royal life. "You have made me a better man, a better father, and a better prince," he had written. "Our love story may be ending sooner than we planned, but it has been the greatest adventure of my life. Please don't mourn too long when I'm gone. Find joy again, laugh with our children, and know that loving you was the best decision I ever made." The afternoon brought a magical snowball fight in the castle courtyard, with William participating from a chair by the window, offering strategic advice and laughing at his family's antics. Kate captured his delighted expressions as their children pelted each other with snow, while occasionally running inside to report on their victories. "Mummy's winning," their middle child announced breathlessly, shaking snow from their coat. "She has really good aim." "That's because Mummy is secretly very competitive," William replied with a grin. "She just hides it well in public." Evening brought the traditional Christmas dinner, though the family chose to eat in the smaller dining room to maintain their intimate atmosphere. William managed small portions and participated in the conversation, sharing memories from his own childhood Christmases and family traditions. He hoped his children would continue with their own families someday. As the day wound down, the family gathered for their evening routine of stories and quiet conversation. William had saved his most important gifts for this moment: individual letters for each child to be opened after bedtime, and a family video message he had recorded weeks earlier when his speech was stronger and clearer. "These letters are just for you," he told each child individually. "They're private messages from Daddy about how much I love you and how proud I am of the person you're becoming. You can read them tonight or save them for when you need them most." The family video message was played on the large screen in their sitting room, showing William at his desk in better health, speaking directly to the camera with energy and clarity that contrasted sharply with his current condition. "If you're watching this," his recorded image began, "it means we've had our perfect Christmas together, and I want to tell you some important things while I still can." The message continued for nearly an hour, with William sharing stories about how he and Kate met, what he felt the moment each child was born, and his hopes and dreams for their futures. He spoke about the importance of kindness, the responsibility that came with their royal heritage, and the power of love to overcome any challenge. "I need you to take care of each other," he said near the end of the recording. "Take care of Mummy, because she will need your love and support. Take care of yourselves by making good choices and following your dreams. And remember that even when you can't see me, I will always be proud of you." When the video ended, the room was quiet except for the soft sound of crying. Even their youngest seemed to understand that this message was something special, something final. Kate gathered her family close, creating a circle of warmth and love that felt strong enough to last forever. Later that night, after the children were finally asleep clutching their letters, Kate helped William prepare for bed. His movements were slow and required assistance, but his spirit seemed lighter than it had been in weeks. "Thank you," he said as she adjusted his pillows. "Thank you for giving me this perfect day. I don't think I could have asked for anything more beautiful." Kate kissed his forehead, tasting salt from her own tears. "Thank you for fighting so hard to be here for it. The children will remember this Christmas for the rest of their lives." As they settled into bed together,
Kate listened once again to the rhythm of William's breathing.
knowing that each breath was a gift they had managed to protect and cherish. Outside, the snow continued to fall, covering the world in pristine white that matched the peace that had somehow settled over their family despite everything they were facing. The days following Christmas passed in a gentle rhythm of quiet moments and shared memories. William's strength was fading more rapidly now, but he faced each new limitation with grace and determination to make the most of whatever time remained. Kate had moved a comfortable chair into their bedroom so she could stay close during the nights when William's discomfort made sleep difficult. She would read to him during the quiet hours, choosing books they had enjoyed together over the years or stories about their children's favorite characters. The children adapted to their father's changing condition with remarkable resilience. They learned to speak more softly when entering his room, to sit carefully on the bed during their visits, and to treasure the moments when he felt well enough to engage in conversation or simple activities. Their youngest had taken to drawing pictures every day and presenting them to William like daily gifts. Each artwork depicted their family in various scenes of happiness, picnics in the garden, bedtime stories, or simple moments of being together. William kept every single drawing on his bedside table, rotating them so he could see different ones throughout the day. "This one shows us at the beach last summer," their youngest explained during one afternoon visit, pointing to colorful figures playing in crayon waves. "Remember how you taught me to build the really tall sandcastle?" "I remember," William said softly, his voice weaker now but still filled with warmth. "That was one of my favorite days ever. You were so proud when it was taller than you." Their middle child had become the family's unofficial historian, asking questions about family stories and writing them down in a special notebook. These conversations often lasted for hours, with William sharing tales about his own childhood, his parents and grandparents, and the early days of his relationship with Kate. "Tell me again about when you first met Mummy at university," was a frequent request, and William never tired of recounting their love story with all its awkward moments and growing certainty that they were meant to be together. Their oldest child took on increasing responsibility around the house, helping Kate with practical matters, while also serving as a bridge between the adult understanding of the situation and their younger siblings' needs for reassurance and normalcy. One evening in early January, William asked Kate to help him make one final recording. His speech had become slower and sometimes unclear, but he was determined to leave behind one last message for special occasions he would miss. "I want to record birthday messages for each of the children," he explained, settling into the chair by the window where the natural light was best. "For their 18th birthdays, their wedding days when they become parents themselves. I may not be able to speak clearly much longer." Kate set up the camera equipment they had been using for his various recordings, her heart breaking at his foresight and determination to remain part of his children's lives even after his death. She watched as he summoned strength from somewhere deep within to deliver heartfelt messages for future milestones, each one filled with love, pride, and specific hopes for his children's happiness. The recording session exhausted him completely, but his expression afterward was one of satisfaction and peace. "Now they'll know how I feel about every important moment in their lives," he said as Kate helped him back to bed. "They'll know that their father was thinking about their futures and believing in their potential." As January progressed, William spent more time sleeping, but he insisted on maintaining some daily routines with his family. Every morning that he was able, the children would visit his room before school, sharing their plans for the day and receiving his gentle encouragement. Every evening, they would gather for what had become their sacred family time, even if William could only listen and smile. Kate found herself memorizing everything, the way William's eyes crinkled when he laughed at their youngest's silly jokes, the careful attention he paid when their middle child read aloud from current school assignments, the serious conversations he had with their oldest about future responsibilities and personal dreams. On a quiet Sunday morning in late January, Kate woke to find William watching her with an expression of complete peace and contentment. The morning light streaming through their windows highlighted the changes illness had made to his appearance, but his love for her was as strong and clear as ever. "I need to tell you something," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'm not afraid anymore. I was terrified at the beginning, terrified of leaving you and the children, terrified of all the things I wouldn't get to see or do, but now I feel ready." Kate felt her heart stop, understanding the significance of his words. "William, I'm ready because I know you're going to be okay. All of you. I've seen how strong you are, how the children are growing into remarkable people, how much love surrounds our family. I can let go knowing that everything I care about most in this world will be protected and cherished." They spent that morning in quiet conversation, William sharing his final thoughts and wishes while Kate listened and memorized every word. He spoke about his gratitude for their life together, his confidence in her ability to guide their children, and his hope that she would eventually find happiness again. "Don't let grief define your life," he said, holding her hand with what strength remained. "Let love define it instead. Let the love we shared, the love you have for our children, the love you give to others through your work. Promise me you'll choose love over sadness," Kate promised, though she couldn't imagine how she would keep that promise in the days ahead. The final week passed in a haze of gentle care and whispered conversations. Family members came to say their goodbyes, though the children were protected from understanding these visits as final farewells. William's parents spent long hours at his bedside, sharing memories and expressing their pride in the man he had become and the family he had created with Kate. On the last evening, William asked for all 3 children to come to his room together. Kate helped arrange them carefully on the bed beside their father, creating what would become their final family portrait in memory. "I want you to remember that being loved by all of you has been the greatest honor of my life," William told his children, his voice weak but clear. "You are the best parts of me, and watching you grow has been my greatest joy. Take care of each other and take care of Mummy." Each child had private moments with their father that evening, conversations that Kate would never ask about but would always wonder about. When they finally said goodnight, it was with extra long hugs and whispered "I love yous" that carried the weight of everything unsaid. William died peacefully in his sleep 2 days later, with Kate holding his hand and the morning sun streaming through their bedroom windows. His final expression was one of complete peace, as if he had simply decided it was time to rest after fighting so hard and loving so completely. The announcement to the world came later that day, revealing for the first time the full extent of William's illness and his courageous battle against it. The outpouring of love and support from people around the globe was overwhelming, but inside the walls of their home, Kate and her children grieved privately for the husband and father who had given them everything he had until his very last breath. In the weeks and months that followed, Kate would find strength in the letters William had written, the recordings he had made, and the example of grace and love he had shown them all. Their silent goodbye had lasted for months, said in 1,000 small moments rather than a single dramatic farewell, and in the end, it had been perfect in its quiet completeness. A love story that concluded not with tragedy, but with the triumph of a family who had loved each other completely and without reservation until the very end.